Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome. This is the 125th episode of the Political Spotlight. I am your host, Kristopher H. Bilbrey. It's great to be with you. Welcome. This is going to be a pretty big show. This is a show that I believe, without maybe even knowing it, has been in the works since 2021, and I didn't even know it. You know, if you listen to any great musicians, they will always tell you that they feel as if sometimes the truly good songs, they're not really writing, that they sit down to maybe have a session or inspiration hits them, and it's just bam, it flows through them. And sometimes these episodes are very much like that. And I didn't know it at the time, but this episode was coming all the way through time to be here for all of you to listen to it tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, this 125th episode is called The Great Abate Debate. The Great Abate Debate. Thank you, Brando, for the amazing title. He actually came up with the title weeks ago, and I was like, oh, that's going to be fantabulous when we do another show all about the Great Abate Debate. Of course, talking about the solar farm debate in Delaware County. When I did a big show about that, I knew we were going to call it this episode, and it just so happened to fall on a good number, 125, kind of a good number right in the middle there, very kind of lines up with my OCD, so all is well there. We've got a lot to talk about. Of course, we're going to be diving into the Delaware County Council meeting that occurred this morning. Very important that we do that. A lot of information there. Very, very important information that we need to talk about. Along with that, we also need to talk about just a wee bit of maybe some breaking news. Of course, there's been all kinds of bizarre breaking news out of the city of Muncie today. Some kind of funny news, some very sad news. And so we've had a lot going on. I do want to remind everybody that now would be the superb time to share this show with anyone that you know, for you guys to share the link on social media. If you're watching this on Facebook or Twitter or Rumble, fantastic. If you're watching this on YouTube, I want to ask that you hit that like button. If you are not subscribed to the channel, hit subscribe. It does not cost you anything. You will get great information if you do. More importantly than the subscription, though, is hitting the bell. And you can only hit the bell if you are subscribed. If you subscribe and then you hit the bell, you will then get notified when we go live. You will be notified when we drop live content, when we drop static content. And so it will give you a notification on your phone, on your tablet, or whatever. And then, of course, like I say often, we are a very interactive show. We like to communicate with you live in the live chat box. If you watch this on repeat, we like to comment with you in the comment section down below. Either way, it's okay with us. And then, of course, more importantly than all of that is just sharing the link with everybody. I am actually in the process of going down through and sharing the show right now with a couple of groups that I feel it's probably important to share with. So if you don't mind me, I will just finish doing that briefly. Talking sometimes always slows that down, and I kind of forget what I'm doing. So give me just one more second as I verify. Yes, yes, sir. We have now sent that out to everyone that needed to be sent out to, and whatnot. So there is that. All right. For those that like to know the kind of the ins and outs of the show, I want to let everybody know that tonight's show is the 98% of the show is going to focus on the Delaware County Council meeting, and moreover the larger solar project going on. This is going to be a very big thing, and I'm telling you, tonight is a show that people are not going to want to miss. And while I thank all of you that are from here, from Louisiana, and are here from down south in Indiana, and are here from Colorado and Utah and uh, Germany and Alaska and New York and wherever else you all are from, New Mexico, this is really going to be specifically geared towards the Delaware County, Muncie City, Gaston, Eaton, Albany, Daleville, Yorktown, Selma, Cowan folks. It's going to be for my voters in Delaware County, because I'm going to lay out to you, in my opinion, uh, elected officials who have not lived up to their oath, not lived up to their duties, and unlike a lot of other situations, generally things will happen and there's like 3 years before the election. It's like if something happens right now with city councilors of Muncie, we're kind of stuck. It won't be an election for another 4 years. But, ladies and gentlemen, the things that we're going to talk about tonight should send you over the moon, should piss you off, and we can do something about it in just a few short months. The first chance that we will have to affect change is Tuesday, May 7th. So, without further ado, we're going to get into it, and we're going to get started. I do want to tell you all, number one, above and beyond, okay, very important. A bunch of people started sending me out the notifications today. Early this morning, I was up, I was doing some work, and some people were saying, hey, I don't know if you've seen this yet or not. This is very, very important. We figured that this is something that the political spotlight, if you guys didn't have, that you guys would want to have access to immediately. I was like, oh, yes, please, please. I do not thank you very much for this. So, for everybody that sent this out, we have actual footage, real live footage from here in Muncie. A horrible event occurred. And what this event is, ladies and gentlemen, today, as the Tuesday started, before Team Danatics were going to work, one of our favorite loudmouth Danatics, Shireen Wigley, we're getting ready to have a voice very similar, her and I, as I can tell. My voice is not getting better, and I think her and I basically sound like each other. Shireen was going to McDonald's to get McGriddles for herself, for her boss, or I don't know who all. Maybe they were just all for her. And she was told that McDonald's on Madison and Charles was out of McGriddles, and all hell broke loose from there. And I want to take you directly to the footage. We've got actual footage, and we're going to take you to that now. Here is what appears to be Shireen Wegley going crazy at McDonald's on South Madison Street. You can see the apartment complex back there. And this is apparently what happens when the Dan addicts are told, sorry, no more McGriddles. I feel like we've got a couple more minutes to go of this, but I feel like I do have to break in and let you know this is not Shireen Wegley. This is not Shireen Wegley. This is pure satire. These are just two of Muncie's finest regular bizarro citizens fighting for God knows what reason. The biggest issue I have is, why didn't one of the ladies roll the window down and punch the other through the window? You got one lady like trying to get her up and over, and I'm like, roll your window down. All right, back to it. Oh, connected. You can actually hear the snap. They're going to tear that door off. Oh, down she goes. Down she goes.
I don't care. She came to me. She hit me first.
Somebody's having a case on Mondays on the Tuesday. World star. There we go, ladies and gentlemen. That happened this morning, I guess. I don't know who these two wonderful people are. I will say, for the record, if anyone in the city of Muncie knows either one of those women, and either one of those women want to come on here, and that's hilarious there, Steve. If either one of them want to come on and chat, I would be glad to have either one of them on. And maybe we could have both of them on. Maybe we could do a little bit of a debate. Maybe we could find out what's going on. I don't know if they're friends, if they're enemies. It looks like they're enemies. I don't know what the story is, but that's Muncie's. Lenny. What in the hell? Okay, now from there, I do want to go to before we jump into the main event, other big breaking news out of the city of Muncie, and we shift from something funny to something really rather sad and tragic. And that is We have this press release, which is horribly written. I'm confused. Melissa Criswell was a very good student at the police academy, was top in her class, and I just cannot believe that this is a real live press release from Deputy Chief Melissa. It blows my mind, quite honestly, because it is a very bad press release. So the press release goes as follows. On January 23rd, 2024, an investigation led to information of a wanted person, Olivia L. LaRue, with 2 active level 2 felony warrants for dealing in cocaine / dealing in a narcotic drug, and a level 6 felony warrant for identity deception out of Madison County, and 1 level 6 felony warrant out of Delaware County for dangerous possession of a narcotic drug. Information was also obtained that if officers tried to apprehend her, she was armed with a rifle and made threats of violence to officers. An officer initiated a traffic stop at 12:10 p.m. this afternoon in the area of West Memorial Drive and South Garkey Street. The driver of the vehicle, identified as Olivia L. LaRue, fled in the vehicle, and reports have her all over basically the south side of Muncie, out by Burlington on 12th Street, snaking back by 5 Points, down in all of the neighborhoods, going in and out. And I'm hearing that there were MPD officers and county officers. I'm hearing different stories on who initiated the stop. I'm hearing that maybe the sheriff's department initiated the stop. Maybe MPD tried to initiate the stop. I'm not really sure, but they attempted to initiate a stop. The stop did not actually happen. She took off ahead of time. And while they were then pursuing this vehicle, at some point, the suspect vehicle turned the wrong way onto Jackson, and so they were going into oncoming traffic. Because of that decision of that driver to go into that wild of behavior and putting citizens' lives at danger, and because the police called it out and said they have now turned the wrong way into one-way traffic, the decision to call the pursuit, to stop the pursuit, occurred. The police supervisors stopped the pursuit, and they did stop the pursuit. Just shortly thereafter, however, unfortunately, the vehicle that was being driven by Olivia LaRue, the suspect vehicle, struck another vehicle that was occupied by 2 uninvolved individuals at Mulberry Street and Main Street. Due to the pursuit involving Muncie police, and due to the fact that there were injuries that were life-threatening and, in fact, sadly did result in 1 fatality, the Muncie Police Department asked the crash investigation to be turned over to the Indiana State Police. The police did take Olivia LaRue into custody, and she was taken into custody at that time. Anyone with further information can contact the Indiana State Police Public Information Officer at 765-778-2121. Now, that's all this says. It blows me away that that's all it says. I want to show you some scenes from the crash. Here was a vehicle that had been hit. Here is a vehicle that was hit. Here's what it looked like down there. Here again is what it looked like from another perspective. And again, here's what it looked like from another perspective. This was a picture that was taken outside of a business, because what we don't get in that press release is when The accident occurred. The suspect vehicle pulled to a stop inside of the old National Bank parking lot, and a passenger got out of the vehicle, and the passenger was quite possibly armed. It was a male suspect, a male subject, and took off on foot. And the male is still at large. To this time, to this point, we still do not have this man in custody. Now, again, I want to be very clear. The police did call off the stop, the pursuit. I saw some comments on there where people were still saying the police should have called off the pursuit. They did. They did call off the pursuit. There's a lot of stuff that go into a pursuit. You know, where it's at, the speed, how many people are out. And I got to be honest, at noon on a Tuesday in downtown Muncie, that's not a time that you want to be chasing people. There are pedestrians out. There's a lot of foot traffic. There's a lot of cars in the area coming and going to lunch, going to work, whatever. The person that lost their life was a person that was inside the vehicle that was on its top. There was someone that lived but is in critical condition, and someone lost their life. Now, I'm not going to get into any kind of situation on talking about the decedent. I don't know if it was a male or a female. I've heard all kinds of rumors. I have heard that it was a young person. I have heard that it was an old person. I have heard that it was a child. It's horrible, whoever it is. It is horrible if it's a 98-year-old. It's horrible if it's a 2-year-old. Obviously, if the decedent is a child, it's beyond words. My thoughts and my prayers go out to the family. I hate this. And let's be honest, because of what was going on, I understand cops wanting to always get their man or always get their woman. But at the end of the day, the fact that this is the result of what happened because someone was dealing in cocaine, I think that there's going to have to be a heavy look at what's going on. Again, we want police to be able to police, but at what cost? It's just a tragic, tragic situation. Thoughts for everyone involved. This completely shut down downtown Muncie. They had like every road, every alley point around the county building, around the Patterson building, around Accutech, two blocks, 3 blocks east and west.
Wait, stop.
Yep.
They're right there by Accutech,
mm-hmm.
and they couldn't have done something like
What?
Ran the car into Accutech.
Yeah, right, into Accutech. No, they tried. They came very close. They came very close. No, they came very, very, very close. And I do want to show you. There is. Let me see here. Some video of. Give me 1 second here. There's some video actually of when the police first got there, and I want to show you guys this video here. Just here briefly, a little bit, let you see kind of what was going on and what was being dealt with down in the area while this was currently underway. This was not too long after the county council meeting, and there were people up at the county council, up at the county building, that were filing to run for office. And it okay, here we go. It was just a wild scene. It was It was wild. Okay, so this is a little south of where all the action was.
I don't know what's going on, but we're downtown Muncie, and the cops are out. Got a lot of heavy machinery. They have ordered the driver to get out his vehicle multiple times, and the driver has not exited the vehicle. I'm unsure what vehicle they are talking to. Where's that other car behind the van? I believe so. We heard it. We were literally in Charm Cupcakes when we heard it. Oh my goodness. Wow. So if you're coming downtown Muncie, would not be smart because it is completely surrounded by police officers.
He's not actually looking in the way.
They have asked the driver to come out multiple times, but the driver has refused. Like I said, I don't have clear line of sight of the vehicle. Earlier, there was an accident on Main Street here, right in front of Civic Theater. They hit a vehicle and completely flipped it. This area is completely surrounded by cops. They have their weapons out. This is crazy. I'm trying to keep the camera down because you know they'll get on the brother for taping. This is just one of the shots, guys. This place is completely surrounded. This is me in front of Charm Cupcakes trying to get a shot. So, and I'm going back to safety, and that's Cupcakes. We have assault rifles pulled out, armored vehicles on the other side of this van. So the person they're talking to is not in the van. They're on the other side.
At one point,
we have other vehicles showing up, police vehicles. Holy crap, bro.
I don't know once you had unmarked Hondas, police cars.
Yes, that is an unmarked police car there. Oh, I thought it was a regular person. Oh my Lord. Is that a regular car? Oh, okay.
And they're passed out dead or something.
Okay, so the vehicle is it like wrecked completely, or
the whole front is smashed in?
Because I know over here we see a bumper on the floor on this pavement over here.
Yeah.
Here come the UPS man still making his delivery. He like, man, I got a delivery to make, bro. Oh my God.
Obviously, the people shooting this don't know the severity of what's
Sorry
going
to be
on.
laughing. I don't know how serious this is, but yeah. Damn. Yeah, go ahead and go, bro. You ain't gonna make that delivery today unless you go into this building. Don't block my view.
Come on, old timer.
Oh my goodness. Keep it moving, Jerry.
Oh, Jeff.
Makes no sense for this many people.
It might be Jim Irsay.
Oh, there's a little bit of Indiana.
He's an owner.
This would have been in Westfield days, not in Muncie.
Yeah.
Well, you never know. They used to do a lot of stuff here at Ball State.
They're telling the person to shut down the vehicle. Dead on the ground.
One vehicle flipped.
He said somebody's dead on the ground over there. Walking backwards. Something tells me that's the passenger.
Might be.
The passenger ran.
Oh, she did? Okay.
So who's there over there on the ground?
Somebody's on the ground?
Yeah. Yeah. Really? Yeah. Right, I live by the white car right here.
Somebody is dead on the ground.
One vehicle fled.
He said somebody's dead on the ground over there.
I mean,
Oh, they got somebody. They got somebody. Unfortunately, somebody's asking me, was she black? I'm like, I don't know.
the white car there's someone else still in there. He's pointing at the car.
Somebody else is still in the vehicle, so yeah, I'm guessing that was.
car got flipped over right here? Oh, I didn't see the car flipped
Yeah,
over.
that's the one that he hit going that way.
Yeah, the person that got on the ground,
So damn, that person. Somebody is dead.
I heard it was worth it for them to do whatever they did. Is he in that van?
No, it's on the other side.
There's a car on the other side.
Memorial, 12th Street.
I thought we
Taylor
just seen
Swift.
a lady
And what is his name?
pulled out a car.
It's Taylor. Oh my God, Don.
Yeah,
Cop is moving in. So as you saw, they all went in there. SWATs. Yeah, we got smoke. We got smoke.
They
Boy,
shot pepper
we got
balls.
smoke. They're gonna force
and
them out
they
now.
shot some
You
gas.
see the smoke coming out the
canisters.
top. Jeez.
And then they realized that the people were not
Yeah,
in the
boy.
vehicle. They got the driver. The driver was the female.
And if they are, they probably
Passenger is the male that took off
they would have
running.
been coming out. Pulling up, y'all. God. Boy.
And then from this point, all hell broke loose.
Got to get another vantage point here. So
From this point, all hell broke loose because they realized that they now have
Man.
somebody
all
out.
right, people, I'm gonna shut this mug down because now they looking like they look somebody, and I ain't Tony. So yeah, man, look like a whole lot of action went downtown. Like I said, unfortunately, there is a person deceased from the vehicle. I'm gonna try to get another vantage point here as I'm downtown, so bear with me as I'm walking around. But from what they're saying is that a car flipped over and a pedestrian unfortunately died when their vehicle was hit during the chase. This is, as you can see, I'm walking downtown here. Yeah, it's cops everywhere, people. So, and there is the deceased person right there. They got the blue tarp. So that lets you know that there is a dead person there, and you're gonna see the vehicle completely flipped over. There it is.
Wow.
Fortunately, somebody died from their vehicle being hit. So I definitely can't make jokes about this because somebody died because of somebody's goddamn stupidity. So
Horrible.
unfortunately, someone's dead because their vehicle got hit. And I mean, they hit them hard. I was literally
Horrible situation. All right, so that's what the deal is, ladies and gentlemen. Out of Muncie. I just horrible deal. And apparently the person is still on the run, but the police aren't telling us that, and the city of Muncie's not telling us that. One of the most ridiculous aspects of all of this is the fact that if you go to the city of Muncie's page, Facebook page, and you click on the city of Muncie's Facebook page, the thing that just completely blows me away is if you go to the page says, this afternoon, a traffic stop resulted in a pursuit and a crash downtown. The Muncie Police Department has published a press release, which is available at muncie.in.gov. So then what would happen is there would be people clicking on this, and it doesn't send you right to the press release. You've got to like search for it. So it's like, way to go, Muncie. Why didn't you just screenshot the thing? And why didn't you just share it? Very similar to like what literally everyone else did. As you notice right here.
Because Dan didn't write it and none of the Dan addicts wrote it. So they can't
That's
guarantee
exactly
that it'll
right.
be favorable and show the mayor in the best possible light.
That's a good possibility. Maybe they were embarrassed by it because it was horribly written. I don't know, but the city of Muncie not doing the best with transparency here. I don't know. I just figured they would have told somebody, hey, lock your doors, hide your wife, hide your kids. There's somebody running loose, possibly with a weapon that we're still looking for. This police action went on today, ladies and gentlemen, from noon until like 6:30. It was still going on. They were just leaving the scene at about 6 or 6:30 as I came back through town. I just couldn't believe it. So it is what it is. Insane. Thoughts and prayers with everybody involved. All right. Now, ladies and gentlemen, the rest of this show we're going to be spending on the Delaware County commissioners meeting, council meeting, Delaware County council meeting. I've got the commissioners on the brain because they're going to be the topic of conversation tonight quite frequently, but it's the council meeting in which we watched today. So I want to again point out to you the thumbnail. Whoops. The thumbnail says episode 125, the Great Abate Debate. Of course, we're talking about the tax abatement for the solar projects. And we've got a gaggle of people here on the foreground, and in the background we've got farm grounds, beautiful, luscious green, brown farm grounds, wonderfully beautiful blue skies, and then down below we have what they're hoping it'll look like, which is just miles and miles of solar panels for as far as the eye can see. And then, of course, the people here on the screen, we've got a couple different people for a couple different reasons, okay? So from left to right, from top to bottom, left to right, first we've got James King, the Cowboy Kid Commissioner himself. He's going to be a target tonight, politically speaking, of course. Then next to him, we have the commissioner's attorney, Mr. John Brook. Again, he will be someone who, again, will be a political target tonight. Next to John Brook, we then have Cowboy Kid Commissioner Shannon Henry. Next to Shannon Henry, we have the council attorney, Ben Freeman, and he is going to be a target, politically speaking, tonight. Then next to Ben, we have the sleepy sister, Sherry Riggin. Look, she's a target because she just has appeared to be inept here in the last couple years. She's not really like one of the main bad guys, but when you fail to act, it doesn't put you in a very good light. And then next to her in the upper right-hand corner is Brad Bookout, and he is a Delaware County Community Economic Development Director for the county. Okay, now down below, we've got the three people in the picture below, and that is in the middle there. We've got the county president of the council, the president of the Delaware County Council, and she's also vice president of the Delaware County Republican Party, and that is none other than Jessica Piper. Okay, that's Jessica Piper. To her right, our left, the older councilman is District 2 Republican Councilor Bill Hughes. That's Bill Hughes to our left, her right. And then to our right, her left, is the young man counselor, and that is, everybody knows that's Ryan Webb, Counselor Ryan Webb, who is one of the at-large counselors. Now, she is also an at-large counselor. I want to let everybody know here, during this 2024 election year. Jessica Piper is up for re-election. Ryan Webb is up for re-election. Sherry Riggin, the lady up just above Ryan's shoulder there, is up for re-election. And then James King is up for re-election there. So that's that. I just wanted to let you guys know that they are up for re-election, and that's going to be very important here in just a few moments. I just want to let you guys know that. So we're going to now take a look. We're not going to go through the whole meeting. We're just going to go through some of the highlights of the meeting, and of course then what I consider to be some of the lowlights of the meeting. And I want to let you guys know what's going on there. So we're going to pull this up on the screen here. And we do have this full meeting. We aired this meeting live today, and you can go and watch. The whole meeting is an hour and 47 minutes long. There was a good amount of information talked about. Some of it's very important, some of it's not so. And then some of it is just absolutely wildly important. Definitely this part is. But it is right now on our page. It is under the playlist Live on Location, and it is the Delaware County Council meeting from January 23rd, 2024. So start this point right here where Jessica Piper, the president here in the center, is saying, all right, next, we want to hear from Mr. Bill Hughes, Councilor Hughes, about the Tax Abatement Committee meeting. So that's where we're going to take it away. Take it away.
We do have a report from the Tax Abatement Committee from their meeting earlier this year. So Bill, would you like to present that?
Yeah, thank you. The Tax Abatement Committee consists of myself, Josh Perkins, Joe Barr. We met on January 9th, and I furnished a complete written report to each member of the council and to the auditor. I'll just try to briefly summarize. We looked at a couple of general topics, the tax abatement process and the impact of tax abatements on the county general fund revenue and on county taxpayers. Matt Eckerly of Baker Tilly was very helpful in helping us through that process and pointing out that from the county's point of view, each year we have what's called a maximum levy. There is a ceiling on what we can collect from property taxes. So any new development, regardless of whether tax abatement is involved or not, any new development does not put us over that maximum levy. We are still capped at that. What it would do is reduce the tax rate for all taxpayers if you have new development. So the county does not directly benefit or is directly harmed by tax abatement because of that maximum levy. And that's determined annually by the Indiana Department of Local Government Finance. Second question we looked at was the background and history of the two solar energy projects, Meadow Forge, which is Washington Township, and Hawthorne, which is in Delaware Township. Those were first approved in 2021. I'm not going to go, we've had a kind of a discussion of the history of those. They were approved in the fall of 2021. A moratorium was imposed in early 2022, and that remained in place until the end of last year. In the meantime, there have been numerous amendments to the Delaware County Comprehensive Zoning Ordinance regarding solar energy projects.
Here we go.
And that would impact on the design and construction of these projects. We then talked about 5 specific questions
5
that had been-
questions that they wanted to ask to determine if something needed to be done here, like possibly rescinding this and trying to stop it. Okay. Listen to these 5 questions.
raised regarding tax abatements. One was whether productive agricultural land can be designated as an economic redevelopment area, an ERA.
Okay. So the first question, and this is a biggie. In order for this company or any company to get a tax abatement, for this cause, the land in which they're wanting to get the tax abatement on needs to be determined to be something called an ERA. What is ERA? It is an economic development revitalization area. Now, what is that? Well, just to make it into simple layman's terms, basically what they're claiming is this land cannot be used for anything else. This area of town is so defunct. It's so bad. The buildings are falling down. The areas are bad. Nobody is wanting to set up shop here. No business is coming in to buy these buildings. This area is pretty much shit, and it needs to be torn down, start over. And we need a tax abatement to be able to come here. We're willing to come here and to do this, but we don't want to pay the property taxes while we're trying to get something off the ground in what is really a ran down area. Well, one of the things that quickly became a problem with all of this was basically the people that lived out in that area did not know that they were calling this an ERA zone. They did not know that this land was being called, barren and bad, economically defunct. They did not know that this was being called a revitalization area. And they asked what that meant. And they said, well, basically it means the land is no good. And those farmers took serious issue with that. They said, wait a minute, we grow food, we grow crops, we grow vegetables, we grow grass. This is fertile land. This is not an ERA zone. Well, it quickly came to light through Councilman Ryan Webb that the reason that this was called an ERA area was because by state law, this is the first time you can think, wait a minute, somebody is playing fast and loose with things here. In order for these companies to get a tax abatement on this property, on their equipment at this property, the land needed to be determined that it was no good. It needed to be given the designation of an ERA. You cannot get the tax abatement without the designation of the area being given an ERA. So people, myself included, felt like that was a little trickery that they did to just scoot this through. Shh, don't say anything. Don't tell anybody. Let's just see what happens, and we'll call it this, and now we can get the abatement. Well, the citizens of Delaware County, the farmers of Delaware County, took great exception to this, as they should, because it's basically a lie. Okay? So without this, there is no abatement, period. That's one of the biggest issues I have. When we hear later on that they don't feel like the companies did anything misleading, well, maybe the companies didn't, but did Brad Bookout? Did James King? Did the attorney? Who went ahead with this? Now, I want you to hear, he says they, as a tax abatement committee, looked to see all the information about this. And I want you to listen to what Bill says. And keep in mind, but not only is he an elected official, He's also an attorney. He used to be the council attorney for many, many years. So I want you to listen to what he says. I want you to listen to what he says right here.
Under the applicable Indiana code in order to grant tax abatements. And we had pointed out that the question was specifically addressed in an email from Carrie Smith.
Carrie Smith is a concerned citizen, and listen to what Carrie's email says.
In which he said to classify some of the best farmland in Delaware County as an ERA is absurd, and this alone should provide legitimate grounds for rescinding the tax abatement. The problem with that is that there are two specific Indiana Court of Appeals decisions that came down in September of 2023 that arose out of Pulaski County up north. And in those cases, the court specifically held that farmland to be developed as a solar energy project could fall within the definition of an economic revitalization area. So until those court cases are overruled by a higher court, or until the General Assembly changes the definitions in the tax abatement statute, that's the law in Indiana.
Okay, I like Bill, and Bill's going to turn out to be a hero today. But I don't like what he just said there. I take issue with what he just said there. What he's saying is essentially, well, these two court cases say that, yeah, farmland can be called ERA. Okay, great. It can be. Who is deciding this? Is it lawyers? Is it the companies? It's the elected officials of each county. It's the elected officials of cities, of towns. So it's the commissioners and the counselors who have to go along with that law. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, we say it all the time here. The law is the floor, not the ceiling. It's a starting place, not the ending place. It's the floor, not the ceiling. So, yes, I get what Bill is saying. They're saying, hey, is it right to call this that? And they say, yep, it's okay, technically. But at the end of the day, who decides that? It's the commissioners and it's the counselors. So what it basically boils down to, and I don't want to cut down on Mr. Hughes' life work, the law, but I don't give a shit. The law says that county councils can call good land bad in order to get the ERA designation to get a tax abatement. It doesn't say it has to. What these people need to realize is just because it says you can doesn't mean that you have to. You can, you don't have to. You can, but you don't have to. It comes down, bottom line, to the elected officials and the will of the people. Should they call land an ERA just because the law says it? No. They should do that if the will of the people wants them to do that. These farmlands should not have been deemed an ERA just because that's the way it goes, just because we want to do what we need to do, and because we've got to fit the code in order to get the tax abatement. Unless they jam this into an ERA, the tax abatement cannot happen. So they had to call this land bad, but they didn't ask the citizens' opinions first. So question number one, I got a problem with. That is bullshit. So if they want to, they can, but they don't have to. All right, move on to question two.
That seems to be a subtle question. The second topic we addressed was whether all statutory procedures were followed in granting the tax abatement for Meadow Forge and
Were
Hawthorne.
all statutory requirements completed properly? Did we follow the law? Yeah, we did. Does that mean that we want what you guys did? That's another story.
And as far as we have been advised,
We follow the
all
law.
of those procedures were followed. The
Okay,
statutory
that's great.
procedures.
Except wait till we
Discussion
hear
has
here in a
been had
minute.
whether
Wait
the
till we
notice
hear what we.
provisions really
Wait
were
till the
adequate
end
to-
of this.
To inform the public, but as far as what the statute requires, all of that was properly done. Third topic was whether financial information that was presented to the county council at the time of the tax abatement resolutions were under consideration was misleading.
Did they
and,
give misleading information to the public, to the council, to the commissioners? He goes on and says, no, I don't think it was misleading. It might have not been, construed the way that it was meant to, but they didn't purposefully mislead us. Okay, well, I've got word that something funky happened, and I'm still not bringing this out yet because it may be used at a later date. But just so you guys know, I do believe that I'm aware of the fact that they have said things, the other company, that has not been factually accurate. And in that situation, I feel like that's a major concern. I can't really say what that is at this point, but I do have to hold on to that for a little bit longer. But I just want to let you know, at the end of the day, do they feel like anything was misleading? I guess Bill doesn't feel like it is, but this is just, don't get caught up in the weeds here. Just listen to what he says and we'll move on.
This referred directly to a slide presentation that actually was not presented to the county council at that time, but it was done in January of 2022. And in that slide presentation, there was an allocation of where tax money from these various projects would be allocated once they paid their tax over the life of the project. And that could be misinterpreted to mean that this was new money that was going to come to Delaware County, to the township, to the school corporation.
If that's what they said, I mean.
However, there was a footnote on that very slide that points out that, and this was underlined and in bold print, estimated taxes paid by the company do not necessarily represent additional property tax revenues for funds subject to maximum levy limitations. And that's exactly the situation.
All right, we move on.
Or updated plans, so we really can't determine whether they're institute a material change of circumstances.
Okay, here's question 4.
The view was that this was probably misunderstood, but it was not intended to be misleading. The next question was whether amendments to the county comprehensive zoning ordinance subsequent to the approval of tax abatements, together with the passage of almost 2 years, constitute a material change of circumstances which would justify this council reconsidering the tax abatements.
So basically what he's saying there is, did something change with this process in the last 2 years? Did something change with the companies or yada, yada, yada? And basically what he's saying here is, we've been doing all of this, but the county, the company hasn't been keeping up to date with us and letting us know what's going on, what's changed, has anything changed, nothing's changed. They keep coming along and saying, you've got to give us this, you've got to give us this, but they're not providing any information.
We do not have any updated information. The only information that we have regarding either of these projects was the information that was provided in the summer of 2021. So
that's insane.
How those projects will have changed, or even whether they'll go forward, we don't know. We have not received any information regarding revised cost or updated plans, so we really can't.
And I want it be known that while this presentation was underway, the attorney for one of the companies was in the audience making snarky, smart-ass comments about Bill and about about what he was saying, and they were making it like comments that, like, you know, to the contrary. I don't know why she didn't stand up and say anything, but to me, they do not seem like they are acting in good faith.
And determine whether there has been a material change that would justify reconsidering the tax abatements. Final question was whether the county council has the authority to reconsider, repeal, or rescind
Final
the
question.
tax abatement resolution.
Does the county council have the ability to repeal it?
Reviewed a February 2022 memorandum from Beasley and Gilkison, and by way of disclaimer, at the time that memorandum was prepared, I was employed by Beasley Gilkison. I assisted in the research and writing of that memorandum. That memo concludes that the council has the authority to reconsider the adoption of the tax abatement.
What we've been saying all along.
Based upon a material
the council does have the ability to rescind this.
Home Rule law. Council for Meadow Forge supplied a letter which was part of our report in which they disagreed. And we've since received a letter from attorneys for Hawthorne that also disagrees with the conclusion that we had reached. But everybody agrees, all attorneys agree that the matter's not been decided by any Indiana court. We don't know what the answer is. Our conclusion was based upon a general principle that if the council has adopted a resolution or an ordinance, that it can later repeal it. That's sort of standard law, but we don't know if it applies in this specific situation. And it would ultimately have to be a court decision.
It doesn't have to be a court decision. That's only if there is a lawsuit. And I am of the opinion that these companies are not going to sue. They might threaten it. But I don't think they're going to sue because they don't want to look like a company that sues the government because something doesn't go the company's way, because these people need the government's help. And I don't think that they're going to do that. They haven't done that so far. And I don't think that that would make them look very neighborly. So I don't think that they're going to do that. I think there's a lot of huffing and a lot of puffing.
Well, and the other thing is that if they did rescind this tax abatement, the council is going to have a very good reason for doing so, which is going to be difficult to fight in court. They're not going to just do it because, oh, screw you, we don't want to anymore. No, this is why. Here is our list of reasons why, and we are rescinding this.
Oh, yeah.
So,
and folks, I'm getting, well, yeah, that's exactly right. And I'm getting ready to blow your mind and give you names. Don't go anywhere. Hang out. We're almost there. And I know I'm going to have to cut this down so other people can see it and do it in shorts, but because I want people to be able to hear this. This is important. This is important. All right?
Have been suggested.
I want to tell you guys something right now. We can make changes. We can allow the government to do what they want to do, and we can allow Jessica to win, and we can allow James King to win, and we can allow J.D. Prescott to win and jam 1338 down our throats and do what they want. Or we can stand up, we can tighten our bootlaces, and we can say, all right, I got the guts, I got the balls, I can do this. Let's do it. And we can make a change, but we've got to be able to say we're going to bust ass. It's going to require us, not them. We got to say we want you, we don't want you, and then get out and do it. No more beating around the bush with this nonsense. All right, here we go.
Expressed their intent that they would probably file suit if the county were to proceed to rescind the tax abatements.
Listen to this. What he's getting ready to say here at 1 minute, 4 seconds, and 54 seconds is probably the craziest thing that I have heard in Delaware County government, and it should impact the whole rest of the 2024 election. We'll see.
that was the report of the committee. Since that time, two additional items that I'd like to put before the council. We received a letter yesterday from Hawthorne Solar.
Since our committee meeting, which was back on the 9th, we've received two other things that I want to talk about now. A letter that they received from Hawthorne Solar, which is not very big, but listen to what the next thing is.
And I circulated that to each member of the council yesterday. Again, they disagree with the idea of that the council can reconsider the tax abatements.
Of course.
One thing I would object to in their letter is they refer to something as a tax abatement agreement with Delaware County. There's no tax abatement agreement. There are only the resolutions that
are you
were
for real?
adopted by the council. The other item that was not considered by the tax abatement committee, but has a direct bearing on this whole discussion, is the economic development agreement that was signed by Delaware County and Meadow Forge Solar Energy prior to the time that the moratorium went into effect. Hawthorne did not get to this step. They did not sign a EDA, is my understanding. In looking at the economic development agreement, there is I'll call it curious provision. It's paragraph 11.
What did he say?
And it says that
a precarious provision. Is that what he said? Let's try to hear it again.
I'll call it curious provision. It's paragraph.
I don't know what he said, but listen to what this provision is.
I'll call it curious provision. It's paragraph 11. And it says that as so long as the owner of this project is complying with the statement of benefits that they have to file with as part of the tax abatement process, and they file for their deduction from their assessed value under the tax abatement, if that is subsequently disallowed, rescinded, canceled, or modified by the council, then the owner can first terminate their obligations under this agreement, and that they would also receive they would be entitled to an equal credit against future taxes equal to the amount they would have received under the tax abatement. So if we were to repeal the tax abatement, and in the case of Meadow Forge, I think the calculation was that they would receive a benefit of about $5 million toward their property taxes. According to this paragraph, they would then get a credit of $5 million against their future taxes, which it's sort of a heads they win, tails we lose.
Heads they win, tails we lose. This is Councilman Hughes saying this. It's not Christopher Bilbrey. It's not Ryan Webb. Okay? It's Bill Hughes.
Proposition from my point of view. And it raised three questions in my mind. First of all,
it raised three questions in his mind. Listen, first of all,
it seemed to be that they're conceding that we have the authority to rescind their tax abatement.
That's exactly what I've been saying since day one of hearing about this. With this thing that they came up with, they are conceding that the council does have the authority to rescind it because they put it in the agreement.
That specifically says, if we do it, this is what happens. They didn't say you can't do it. So
ding, 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 ding. Okay. Point number two.
That's kind of contrary to the position they've taken, or the council has taken. Secondly, if this were invoked, it would be a horrible resort for the county.
If this were invoked, okay, if this happened, if this were revoked and this happened, this would be horrible results for the county. James King, why did you agree to this? Shannon Henry, why did you agree to this? Sherry Riggin, why did you agree to this? I want to listen to it one more time.
They didn't say you can't do it. So that's kind of contrary to the position they've taken, or the council has taken. Secondly, if this were invoked, it would be a horrible resort for the county because of that maximum levy proposition again. They would have to pay their taxes. Everybody's tax rate would be reduced. We'd be our maximum levy, but then they'd get this credit. So that would take the county, for instance, and other taxing units well below their maximum levy. So it would be a substantial cost to the county.
Why did our commissioners stick us with this? Why did John Brook, their attorney, tell them that this was okay? Why did James King sign his name with his grubby little hands on the document? Why did Shannon Henry agree to this? Why did Sherry Riggin agree to this? What were you guys thinking? What's the game plan? What's going on? What's going on behind the scenes? What were you guys promised? What's going on here? You guys can't be this stupid. So either you guys are this stupid and you need to resign tomorrow morning, all three of you, stupid, or something else is going on here. And if it's not one of those two things, then explain to us what is happening, because this sounds completely insane.
The third thing that
Oh, there's a third thing. The third thing
occurs to me here is that this agreement was signed by the company and the county commissioners.
It was signed by the company and the county commissioners. And for all those playing at home, I want to remind you that the county commissioners are the executive body. All right? Listen to what Councilman Attorney Hughes says.
And I don't know, and I haven't done research, we would leave this up to the council's attorney and Mr. Brook, the county attorney, to look into. I don't know how the county commissioners have the authority to grant a tax credit.
If Steve Brand is smart, he'll pound this into the dirt. He'll pound King into the dirt with this, and he'll walk straight in to a victory. I forgive King of everything that he's ever done. I want King to resign because of this alone. I forgive Shannon Henry of saying, I'm tired and sick of transparency. I'm tired of hearing people bitch and moan. I'll forgive him of all of that. I'll forgive him of everything stupid they've ever done. I want Shannon Henry to resign because of this. I want Sherry Riggin to resign because I know she knows this stuff isn't right, but she doesn't speak up against these guys. It only takes those two guys to bully her over, and she doesn't have the strength apparently anymore to do what needs to be done. Those three commissioners need to resign tomorrow.
We're the fiscal body of the county.
They're the fiscal body of the county.
And that's why tax abatements come here instead of going to the commissioners, because it deals with.
I mean, folks, this isn't rocket science. It's checks and balances. You learn this in third grade.
The fiscal side of the county. So to me, that's a significant question
Significant.
Do the commissioners have the authority to grant a tax credit, even a conditional tax credit, as described in this? So all of that is I would say a further complication to the whole discussion regarding tax abatements and the possibility of the council reconsidering those. It's been pointed out and merits serious consideration that this threat of litigation, like any litigation, could be expensive, could be time consuming.
It could be.
And ultimately, as I said there, we don't have much guidance from the courts as to how they would decide. We don't know what might happen. So we cannot guarantee success.
So does that mean you shouldn't try?
No.
They can't either.
No. We don't want to govern from a place of fear. We definitely don't want to govern from a place of fear. David says, I spoke to the IDNR and they said that our elected officials would be the only ones to protect the Gaston, Prairie, and surrounding areas and wildlife by ordinances. David, absolutely. Absolutely. That's exactly right. All right. I want you guys to hear it again. We're going to play it. We're going to play it again. I just want you guys to hear this. I want you to hear those last points just real quickly.
Tax abatements come here instead of going, they're conceding that we have the authority to rescind their tax abatement. That specifically says, if we do it, this is what happens. They didn't say you can't do it. So that's kind of contrary to the position they've taken, or the council has taken. Secondly, if this were invoked, it would be a horrible resort for the county because of that maximum levy proposition again. They would have to pay their taxes. Everybody's tax rate would be reduced. We'd be our maximum levy, but then they'd get this credit. So that would take the county, for instance, and other taxing units well below their maximum levy. So it would be a substantial cost to the county. The third thing that occurs to me here is that this agreement was signed by the company and the county commissioners. And I don't know, and I haven't done research, we would leave this up to the council's attorney and Mr. Brook, the county attorney, to look into. I don't know how the county commissioners have the authority to grant a tax credit.
Neither do I.
We're the fiscal body of the county. And
yes,
that's why tax abatements come here instead of going to the commissioners.
Yes.
It deals with the fiscal side of the county.
Yes.
So to me, that's a significant question.
Significant.
Do the commissioners have the authority to grant a tax credit, even a conditional tax credit, as described in this? So all of that is I would say a further complication to the whole
definitely a further
regarding
complication. I don't even care about the solar issue right now. I want to know why we have elected officials that aren't protecting us. Now, I want you guys to notice this guy right here. Hell, it's like he's not even paying attention. Eugene Whitehead, he is up for re-election. He should really be paying attention. He should have a lot to say about this. I know Councilor Webb has a lot to say about it. Let's find out how much Jessica Piper has to say about this.
Tax abatements and the possibility of the council reconsidering those. It's been pointed out and merits serious consideration that this threat of litigation, like any litigation, could be expensive, could be time consuming.
It could.
And ultimately, as I said there, we don't have much guidance from the courts as to how they would decide. We don't know what might happen. So
we don't.
We cannot guarantee success in court, and they can't either. You know, they would be facing the same challenges that we're facing. So that's a summary of my report.
Thank you.
And to further clarify that.
Any
Bill, your
thoughts,
understanding
Jessica? Jessica's got no thoughts. I mean, look, she's not looking up. She's scared to death. She doesn't want to talk about this. She doesn't want to touch this. Hey, not just King, Riggin, and Henry. Jessica Piper, you need to resign tomorrow. You should resign, ma'am. What are you doing to fight for this? This is your council. Should you not be concerned about this? I'm telling you, all of the at-large council members, Ryan and all of any newbies that come in, Amber Green just announced tonight that she's running, obviously, for at-large. We knew that was coming. They need to be pounding this into their heads again and again and again and again. You're not living up to your obligation. You're not living up to your oath. You're not living up to your duty. What the hell's going on? Who's getting the kickbacks here? Look, and if you say, oh, that's slanderous, that's libel, okay, then tell me what's going on that's not what it is. Explain to me why this is happening. If that's not what's going on, why is Ben Freeman real quiet? He's not saying anything. He normally likes piping off at the mouth. Why ain't he saying something?
Ben, is that there's been no rescinding of a tax abatement ever in the state of Indiana. Is that correct?
I don't know that I could state that definitively, but what we are certainly.
Oh, hey, listen, until the United States walked on the moon, if we did, nobody had ever done it before. I probably still haven't. But, we did it. I don't really believe that. But you get what I'm getting at there. Like, we cannot govern in fear. And I like Matt Kantz, but I think that sitting close to Jessica, some of that fear kind of creeps over to him. So we got to beat that back. We got to get her out of here so she doesn't take down any more good counselors.
Sure of is that there's no case on point. So
listen,
I suppose it's possible that one was rescinded and not challenged, because then there would be no case that would generate a appeal.
And there is a process in the statute for rescinding a tax abatement if the company fails to do what it promised to do when they initially, so they said they were going to hire 50 employees and they come back, well, we only hired 10 employees. There is a provision in the statute to rescind the tax abatement on that basis.
Okay.
Okay. And of course, as I think Mr. Bookout pointed out in our meeting, there are numerous cases where a tax abatement has been granted, then the project never materializes. And it just goes away at that point. So, in my opinion, we have at least one, if not two, missing pieces here. We have the lack of an update from the solar companies on any.
And why is that? Why is everybody okay with that? Well, we've not heard from them about any kind of update since July of 2021. That seems to be okay.
Changes, any updates, any financial information since the abatement was applied for, correct? And then secondly, we have the outstanding question of this EDA interpretation, whether it's even valid. Commissioners have reached out about meeting with the council, which won't happen, obviously didn't happen before today.
Why? They knew they were coming in here to have this meeting. Why was there not a meeting scheduled?
So it's going to be my suggestion, we either table or make a motion for a special hearing that
no table
is required for them to come and present.
Now here, ladies and gentlemen, like a masterful spider walking the prey into the web, watch what occurs.
Updated information to us before a final decision.
And by all of that trickery, all I mean is somebody that's doing what they're supposed to be doing for the public. It's bad that we've got to look at it like that. Like we've got to be like sneaky, snaky to do the right things because that's the only way they play the game. And it's like, okay, fine. If you want to play that way, that's fine. but we're going to knock your socks off because you guys aren't like the analogy. Oh, you're playing checkers while I'm playing chess. It's more like you guys are playing tic-tac-toe or playing, yeah, tic-tac-toe. What's tic-tac-toe? I don't know. Playing with yourselves while we're playing chess.
It's made. That's my opinion on it at this point. Before we go any further, Mr. Freeman, could you outline the requirements if the council was to motion rescind? What would need to be done? Could you state that for the record? Sure. So as was stated,
Oh, Ryan, I know, man. So number one, your audio is really quiet. I want to know, and I'm going to call you tomorrow and explain to you how you can check. I'm going to tell you. Yeah, I think they're turning your audio down. I'll be really honest. I think they're turning your audio down. Number one, I think they're turning your audio down. Listen to everybody else talk and look how far the microphone is away from their face. Watch this.
interpretation, whether it's even
Listen
valid.
how loud he is. Look how far away it is.
About meeting with the council, which won't happen.
Look at Ben, or look at William.
Final question was whether the county council
Look how,
has the
look,
authority to
the microphone is off to his shoulder, and listen how loud he is.
reconsider, repeal, or rescind the tax abatement resolutions.
Now, listen to Ryan Webb.
February 2022 memorandum from
Come and present updated information.
Tell me they're
to
not
us
turning
before-
Ryan's
before
microphone
the
down.
It's made. That's my opinion on it at this point. Before we go any further, Mr. Freeman, could you outline the requirements if the council was to motion rescind?
So, because they're playing with his audio there, and I'm telling you, if they're doing that, that's almost worth. I'm not even going to say it. They better not be doing that. But he asked the attorney, can you outline what the steps are for us to go through the process to start the process of rescinding this? Now listen to what the attorney says.
Could you state that for the record? Sure. So as was stated back about almost 2 years ago.
I think you can even hear them turn the audio back up as Ben starts talking. Listen. What time are we at? 12:27. Listen when Ben says sure. Listen. And tell me if it doesn't sound like the sure raises in volume.
Back about almost 2 years ago. Before we go any further, Mr. Freeman, could you outline the requirements if the council was to motion rescind? What would need to be done? Could you state that for the record? Sure. So as was stated back almost 2 years ago now in the memo that Bill, Mr. Hughes referenced, there's no
his mic
statute
isn't
on
facing
point
him,
for
but
this.
neither is anybody else's.
Been much talked about, a lot of disagreement going both ways. What we had outlined in that memo was, at a minimum, we believe the process would have to mirror in reverse the process for granting the abatement in the first place. There would need to be published notice. I believe it's 10 days prior to the public meeting is the statute for the tax abatement. So basically, you would follow that in reverse. So you publish that you're going to take up the question, provide at least 10 days.
Yeah, all the
notice,
mics are on.
and then the
You
whole-
can see they all light up as they're talking to him.
Thank you for clarifying that. So, a couple things. First, I can't speak for everybody else, but when I heard that information about the economic development agreement, once I got past my outrage and just complete frustration that commissioners would sign that, put us in this position, allowing a tax credit to go forward even if we rescinded, which is complete ridiculousness to me. But once I got past that, I shared the same concern that Mr. Hughes said.
I question the validity of how they can even do that. They don't control the money. We control the money. They don't control the tax credits. We control the tax credits. I don't make adjustments and make provisions for my neighbor's house. I make them for my house because I don't control their house. They don't control this house. So that's my first thing. I don't believe they have any right to enter into an agreement stating that if we decide independently on our own from them, we want to go a different direction, that we then have to abide by what they've agreed to. That doesn't make any sense to me. I'm not a lawyer, but the common sense factor tells me that doesn't hold any water. That's the first thing. Second thing, that economic development agreement was signed in 2021. I'm going to officially apologize to everyone in this room and everyone who's watched and everyone who's attended those commissioners' meetings and watched commissioners sit up there and tell every one of you that I don't know anything about any of this until all these property agreements started getting signed. Don't know nothing about it. That's obviously not true because an EDA was signed in 2021. So there was knowledge of this project going forward. So no one else will apologize to you for it. I will. And then the third thing I'm going to say, and this is really just a reminder for everyone. And I asked Mr. Friedman
Here we go.
to state those requirements for a reason. And I'm going to ask everyone to go back to November 2023. I sit in this very chair and I made a motion to follow those exact steps that he just outlined to consider rescinding this agreement. I'm going to read it right here as the official minutes. Councilmember Webb made a motion to refer both tax abatements back to the Tax Abatement Committee for review. We've done that. Tax Abatement Committee met, they reviewed. Report back to council to discuss those findings. We're doing that right now. Next step, council is to hold a special hearing for the developers to update council and then consider the possibility of rescinding the tax abatement for a vote. That's where we're at now. So we're already on second base in this process, right? We get it in November. It was voted on unanimously. I might add. But to go what Councilmember Kansas said, to have a hearing. I'm glad you said that because that's actually the next step in the motion that has already passed unanimously, that we are to conduct a special hearing for the vote of this rescission.
And the council right now, including Jessica Piper, probably the three commissioners sitting someplace, Ben Freeman, John Brook, if he's watching, they are all losing their ever-loving mind because boom, bang, pow. Ryan just walked them into their own undoing. He asked the attorney to outline what they needed to do to take the next step. The attorney outlined it. Then Ryan brings up the minutes from the meeting in November when Jessica was gone and Bill Hughes was the president, and he read his motion word for word in the official minutes, and it passed 6-0. It passed unanimously. And what that means is they're already in the process. They can't now stop it unless they do something to do that. But we would all know what they were doing then, and it would the jig would be up at that point. Shit would hit the fan. Just letting you know, the citizens of Delaware County like him, love him, hate him, don't know him, don't care about him, whatever you think. Hate his thoughts, hate his comments, hate his politics, love his thoughts, love his comments, love his politics, agree with him sometime, agree with him none of the time, agree with him all the time, disagree with him all the time, whatever. The citizens of Delaware County owe Ryan a pat on the back. They owe him a beer. They owe him an attaboy. They owe him a lot for what just happened here. Ryan's had been the only one that's had the guts to do what is right. And I got to give Bill credit because Bill's starting to get on board. It seems like Bill's thinking, hey, wait a minute. Ryan seems like he knows what he's talking about. This is working. Ryan did the right thing. And the reason Ryan knew to do that, it's not because he's some massive political genius. It's not because of whatever. It's because he listens. It's because he pays attention. It's because he asks questions that everybody else rolls their eyes to. It's because he's listening to the public. He's doing what the public wants. And I know that this is going to cause the stamp licker to be butthurt. But Ryan got one over on yo people, man. It is the way it is. I can't help it. Because in the end, when you're doing something for good, that is going to overcome.
I just wanted to remind the council of that, remind everyone of that, that was voted on and passed unanimously in November. And there was multiple parts to it, and now we're at the third stage of it.
There is no tabling it. We're at the third stage.
I will say too that we'd asked Ben to reach out to John Brook, the commissioner's attorney, to get some clarification, and they have reached back and are willing to meet with us. So we'll need to discuss that. And
now listen to her. She's like, wait, I don't want to do anything today. I'm too afraid. I can't make a decision. They want to meet. They want to meet. Listen, this meeting between the council and the commissioners needs to happen in a joint work session, a special public meeting, a special meeting. No citizens get a talk. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with no citizens even talking. Let the adults work in the room if they so choose. Have all three commissioners there. Have their attorney there. Have the counselor there. Have all the counselors there. Have their attorney there. And let them do this in front of the public. Hell, do it in an open meeting and give public comment. Don't do this behind closed doors. I've got word today, that Jessica is already making the play for having this in an executive session. If Jessica has this in an executive session, she must be beat in May. We don't want this to happen in an executive session. We do not want this to happen in an executive session. This must happen out in the open because the citizens deserve to know what the hell is going on. With everything that Bill laid out, this cannot happen behind closed doors. This has to happen in front of the public. Look at her holding her neck. Look at her. Look how she's just beside herself right now. She is, I guarantee you, oh man, she is nervous.
we can have those conversations.
She's not happy. Ryan ruined maybe her day, her month, maybe even her year, if we're singing the Friends theme song.
Would it be wise to table this till we have our discussion with the council and the attorney?
And listen to Jessica's heroes coming to her aid. Would it be no tabling this? I mean, we can just put this on a hold hiatus for the moment, but we are in suspended animation right now, waiting for the next base. The vote has already occurred.
The commissioners.
Excuse me, commissioners, I'm the attorney. Thank you.
Well, I think we have to have like a 10-day notice for a public hearing, right?
I don't know if there's anything to table. I think we could hold off scheduling the public hearing until we've talked to the commissioners. But I think, to Brian's point, I think we'll need to schedule the public hearing at some point and make sure that due notice is given and publicity.
Bill, is that the mechanism though to get the solar companies here? And
I don't know if you might remember this one, but during that motion, because it was a limited motion, you said for the purpose of your motion, Ryan, does it have to be a special hearing or can it be a regular council meeting? My response was, I don't care either way, whatever it takes. So if you think we need to have a special hearing, or if we can do it in our February meeting,
My thought process wasn't in the motion, and my thought process was to do it, if possible, at the February meeting, or perhaps a separate, special meeting immediately following the regular meeting,
Yep.
I agree.
something in that nature, but, I'd leave that up to the council, how they want to proceed.
It's worth noting, according to your rules, the president can call a special meeting. So if, based on material developments that continue to, information that comes in, if we get financial updates, whatever the case may be, the president could then, whether it's immediately following your February meeting or sometime before or after, she could call a special meeting for that purpose.
So it sounds like we're gonna hold tight, meet with the commissioners and potentially call a special meeting. I would caution everybody who,
Now, let me tell you what they're going to try to do here. I think Piper's next move is trying to do this behind closed doors and trying to kick this can until after the May primary. That cannot happen. This needs to happen now.
you know, that this is just, I mean, it is in some ways dragging this process along. That, you know, we don't necessarily have meaningful grounds to rescind abatement that was properly followed. That the financial ramifications of rescinding that agreement, regardless of the language in the EDA, are going to be significant to the county this year's budget.
He's governing from a point of fear, and it's almost like Jessica's taking over his body and she's speaking through him right now. See her smiling, looking at him like, "Oh, you've come to my rescue."
It is going to be no better or worse than it
Nodding.
was last year. And so we just do not have the funds necessarily to fight something of this nature unless there's a absolute, you know, darn good reason we can have, I think, legally to do something. So I don't think that this process does anything other than try to get it to completion in the proper way. As most people know that have talked to me, I mean, I've spent many hours doing this and researching this as best I could to get to that point. But I also don't want this to feel like this is because the end result is going to be something different than it probably ends up being. We're just trying to finish the due diligence more than anything else. And I do think that the company should have to come and report to us. It hasn't been done. I have no clue what's going on with any of those projects. Primarily is, you know, my main driver for that. So I think that's good for the public to hear, and then they can have their opportunity to speak about it as well. So to me, that's where we're at.
A great recap.
Well, if I could add to that, I know it may feel like being drug out, but I agree. I think it needs to have its day in court, if you will, and you know, see a final resolution. One thing I'm uncomfortable with is waiting, having an open-ended deal where we're waiting to hear back. I think we need to really set a date of the March or the February meeting, with a hard target date to get this done, because the time is, you know, no matter which way you go, whether to wrap it up or change your mind, vote with me and vote to rescind, it needs to happen soon. So I would still like to urge the president to try to.
And I agree with Bill that maybe right after, like, close out our February meeting, take like a 5-minute break and then come back and do that.
That to me would be ideal.
I'm agreeable with that.
Can we call it that? Then if you're agreeable with that, can we?
I think the commissioner.
We need to speak with the commissioners. We also want to make sure that if it's so important for us to have these companies come, that they're available.
I think she's back there.
Both companies, both.
Okay.
We got 2. So, but yeah, I definitely want to make sure that, to Matt's point, he gets an update. All of you get an update on where the process.
What do you mean, all of you? Do you not need an update, Jessica? Why do you talk like you're so removed from this? Why are you acting like such a freak?
This is right now and what they're doing. So, we're gonna make that our target. Does that work for you? Make that the target? Okay.
I'd like to throw something out as well. Since the commissioners have changed the zoning Is there now another process involved with the solar companies that they have to, is it reapply?
Permitted use now, correct?
It's a special use.
Special use.
It was a
Permitted.
permitted use, now it is a special use. So their procedure is
For permit, special use permits for the projects.
which they've not done. Does anybody have knowledge of that?
I don't have any knowledge of what they have or haven't.
And
Requested.
we really aren't involved in that side of it at all. That's a whole separate process.
One of you speak to that question? Would you please?
So basically, they're just asking if they have to take any other precautions, if they need to fill anything out, or if they have.
Our office has not, to my knowledge, received any new plans for any of the solar projects that have been proposed. And then when we do, they would have to follow special use, like you mentioned.
No, I don't
If
understand.
they don't encumber it, then they would have to come back and
Reappropriate.
reappropriate it.
That's
So
correct.
All right, so that's the end of the conversation about that. I want to make sure that we know, and we give Ryan a round of applause. I want to make sure that we really, really stick it to James King. I'm going to be focusing on this in post over the next couple days. What was James King doing? What was Shannon Henry doing? What's Jessica Piper doing? Why did Eugene Whitehead not raise his hand? He didn't. I don't think he blinked. I mean, where was he at in this discussion? Is he not a counselor running for re-election? Should he not be there? Is this not fun for him anymore? People need to resign, get the hell out of the way.
And they can only encumber, again, if they have an invoice.
invoice in hand.
I want to now take it to the very end of the meeting. There were no public comments. And the very next thing that's said is a speech by Ryan Webb.
I'm sorry, what'd you say your name was for the planning commission? Kayleen? Kylene. I touched a little bit on it when Miss Kylene was up there, but I didn't really feel it was appropriate to go all in on her since she was first meeting, but, I just wanted to just kind of get off the year, just with all the department heads and know where I was at on this, as far as those contractual services. For me personally, if, you're a department head and you're coming in there asking for something, for me, I'm asking for you to bring an invoice, an estimate, something that shows me that if you need $50,000, why you need $50,000. Again, I'm just one vote, but for me, for that vote, I'm gonna need to see something for this year and moving forward, if it goes on beyond that. But I just wanted to touch base on that just a little bit, and just make sure everyone understood it.
There better not be an executive session. I'm telling you.
I didn't really want
I'm telling you. I'm going.
So just a blanket statement.
We are in a.
You're coming in.
I don't want to talk over Ryan.
Please have an invoice ready.
I'm telling you, we are in a position where there are a couple hills to die on. 1338. I'm going to fight that all the way. Ryan talks about that here in a minute. I love it. It's going to be great. But this should not be done in an executive session. This cannot be done in an executive session. I'm going to fight it all of the way. I'm going to email them. We need to be emailing. We're going to talk about that right before we go off. I'm going to talk to you about it. Okay. No, David, not to my attention. Or excuse me, not to my understanding. They did not. Here we go.
If I ask to see it, that way it can help me with my decision making. The second thing, we already touched base on the solar and the commissioners and all that stuff. I just wanted to just kind of mention, just briefly, for the record. I know yesterday, our friends down at the State House in Indianapolis had voted on a bill for allow local governments to set rules, kind of toss out our, to have some rules for unruly citizens in meetings and stuff like that. And I just want to go on a record as saying, I don't believe that we need anything like that. I don't think that, obviously any municipality can set their own rules if this goes through the Senate. It did pass the House yesterday. But for us, sometimes people get up there, they get upset, they get frustrated. They may raise their voice, they may yell at us. That's what we signed up for. And I think it's important for me to say it because I've probably had more people sit at that podium and yelling at me more than most people combined. And not all of them are telling the truth. Some of them are lies. Some of them might even be in this room. But I just think it's important that if we're elected, we give those people that space to speak. So I'm really hoping that our legislators, the senator, the Senate votes down that bill and just allows us to. I mean, I think our president does a pretty good job of keeping the room respectful. If someone gets out of hand, hey, can you keep it down? And it pretty much goes along those ways. So I hope we can continue that without actually having a law and setting rules in place, because the last thing I want to see is citizens kicked out of a meeting that they have every constitutional right to be in. So I just thought that was important to comment on that. That's all I have. And I hope everyone is getting their year off to a great start.
Anything else from?
I'd like to echo the thoughts from Mr. Mokel and Mr. Cantz about Mr. Hughes and the appreciation. Congratulate Mr.
That was very well said. Very well said, Ryan. Nobody else has anything to say, and they adjourn from there, and that's the end. That's the end of that. All right, we're getting ready to leave. We've been here. We're coming up on 2 hours. We're going to cut it short here, or cut it long, I guess. But before we end, I want to say this. I just want to impress upon this to you. I have talked about it's time to do this. It's time to do this. We've got to do this. We've got to do this. And year in and year out, some people do it. People watch. It is what it is. And that's what goes on. And that's all it is. That's all it is. That's all it is. Just talking. It's just words. It is time, ladies and gentlemen, to start walking the walk. There's already been a perception of backroom, under the table BS and the whole solar deal. It's time to be open about. Yeah. Yes, David. That's exactly right. That's exactly accurate. I want to be very clear about where we go from here. We became aware. When did I do an episode? Let me look at the date. We did the first episode about okay. So it's a little tough. The 17th is the very first day that we talked about House Bill 1338. We talked about calling people. We talked about writing emails. How many people did any of that? Very few. Very few. And then what happened is everybody was taken by surprise when on the 22nd, they voted it through the House. They're not going to piss around with it. It will be going to the Senate soon. It'll go to committee, and they're going to vote in the committee, and if it passes committee, it goes on to the full Senate. And if they vote and it passes at the full Senate, it then goes to the governor's office to be signed into law. And then, ladies and gentlemen, it will become law on July 1st. Now, you can continue to watch these videos day in and day out and like and subscribe and comment and talk. And then the rest of the time, we can sit with our hands up our asses and not do anything. Or you can message me and you can get addresses, email addresses. You can get phone numbers. You can say, how do I contact these people? What do I say? Contact Catherine. Contact Kate. Contact us. Ask us for help. Ask people what you need to do. Call your people. We can say that we're pissed off about what James King has done. We're pissed off about what John Brook has done. John Brook is not elected. We need to tell the commissioners we don't like the attorney calling the shots. Get him under control. By the way, you guys have failed us. We want you to resign. Now, just because we demand they resign doesn't mean they're going to, but it doesn't mean we shouldn't not demand it. We should demand it. They should have 15 messages on their thing in the next hour, 500 in the next day, 1,000 in the next week. More than that, they should have more and more and more, because the citizens of Delaware County should be pissed about this. But in order to do that, we've got to spread the message. Share this episode. Share these comments. Tell people, hey, did you hear about this? 500 people sent me the video today of the two crazy people fighting at McDonald's. I liked it. I laughed about it. We had a laugh. We called it Shreen Wiggly, and it was a ha 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 ha. Sad situation with the police chase and the fatality. Thousands of people were like, what's going on in Muncie? What's going on in Muncie? Let me tell you something. Breathe. You don't need to know everything at the very second it happens like that. It'll be in the paper. It'll be out on one of the sites. I promise you, if it's somebody that's involved in your life, you're going to get notified. Don't want that notification. You don't. Put down the phone and caring about the memes and all of this nonsense 24 hours a day, and use an hour of that time to notify people. Use an hour of that time to call people. Maybe instead of sharing the two crazy ass people at McDonald's fighting, share this link. Send it in Messenger. Share the story. Share the link of the commissioners meeting and tell people what time. Tell people, hey, you need to watch this between 55 and 1 hour and 25 minutes. 55 seconds or 50. You need to watch this between 55 minutes and 1 hour 24 minutes. Tell them that. Share them the names of the people that we must beat. Tell your people to vote for Ryan Webb. Tell your people to vote for Amber Green. Tell your people to vote for Stephen Brand. Tell your people to not reelect James King. Tell your people to send questions to these people asking them why they did this. Tell them to send them messages telling them to resign. Tell them to send messages to the State House, to Biden, to the governor, wherever. If you're mad about something, you've got to act. I can't do anything, said every single, what is the thing? Said one person, 1 out of 7 million people on the planet or whatever. That thing. Folks, we need to start getting serious about this. As serious as we are about going and getting Starbucks, as serious as we are about finding out, the new gossip at work, who's sleeping with who, and who's doing what, who's doing where, who overdosed on drugs last night, whose kids got expelled,
who's in jail for child molest,
who's in jail, who's molesting who now. Look, that'll all come out, folks. Remember, a vote for Ryan Webb is a vote for America's councilman. I'm trying to get you elected, Ryan. Re-elected, rather. I want to give a big thanks to Ryan, because I'm telling you, folks, he's fought a good fight on this. Listen, he was somebody that did wrong on this one. He voted in favor of all of this. And then he was like, whoops, I messed up. and he pulled it back, and then he did the right thing. And he came clean about it. Jessica Piper doesn't come clean about nothing. Jessica Piper does not talk to you all. Jessica Piper thinks that we are beneath her. We are below her. Below her. Well, let me tell you, below me. I'll tell you that. We are tired of this nonsense. And I'm telling you, come May 8th and come Wednesday after November, I'm going to tell you guys, chances are we got the government that we deserve. So I don't want to hear any bitching about it. We can come out and vote with the same 8% that we always vote, the 12%, or we can say, nah, that's not good enough anymore. I'm going to get people registered. I'm going to let people know that just because you have been in prison doesn't mean you can't vote. Just because you had 2 OWIs in your 30s doesn't mean you can't vote. You can vote if you're a felon. If you haven't voted in 10 years, check your shit, get re-registered, and vote. Get educated, get informed, get active, and get to making a difference. Alva. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Hey, for the record, I want to tell everybody tonight is Tuesday the 23rd. I will not be here tomorrow night. I will not be here tomorrow night. I haven't talked to either Brandon. I haven't talked to Audie. Maybe somebody will want to come on and do. We'll talk about that. But chances are there will be no show tomorrow. If there is, you'll just have to go by notification. It'll be at 9 o'clock if there is. But I will not be here tomorrow night. I will be back Thursday. We'll do the end of the week, a good show on the end of the week. And we'll talk about the Board of Work. So I'm going to be doing all of that. But I will not be here tomorrow night. I've got some things that I got to do instead. Sorry for the inconvenience. But folks, we're going to be knocking it dead. The filing period is still up. Hey, I do also want to just say this. Ryan's chance to guest host. Let him know. I do want to point this out, and we're going to talk about this more on Thursday. Look at this nonsense. I got this today. This is the clerk's office will no longer proofread or correct candidate filings. Proper paperwork and filling, filling out the paperwork correctly is the responsibility of the candidate. We suggest that you review all paperwork with your party chairman before filing. I have read THS, not spelled right, form and understand that it will be included with my filings, signed and dated. Now, I don't know what this is. I need to contact the clerk's office. Are they demanding that people sign these? If they are, it's unconstitutional. If somebody wants to file and doesn't want to sign this, they cannot stop them. They should not have a signature and a date stamp. If they want to pass this out, I think they're more than fine passing it out. But they cannot demand signatures. They need to take that shit off there. They need to... He got made to look foolish last year because of all the nonsense that happened. And he was like, I don't want that to happen again. Look, I'm okay with it being the responsibility of the citizens that want to vote to turn in their paperwork properly. But this is really strange. Ryan said I had to turn in that form when I turned in my paperwork.
And you did? I would have told him to shove it.
I'm going to find out from the Indiana Secretary of State's office tomorrow what their opinion is on this, because I don't know. Did the election board approve this? Did the Secretary of State's board approve this? Because there's some aspects that adding or doing things with official paperwork when it comes to elections can actually be criminal charges. I'm not saying that this is. I'm just throwing that out there that I'm going to get some clarification, because this is really, really wonky. And what's this bullshit with you should sit down with your chairman? What if you not have a chairman to sit down with? What if you're a Republican in good standing because you've done what's needed to be done, and because you're actually a conservative, and you're like, no, to hell with Ed, Mr. Ed. I'm not doing Mr. Ed's nonsense or Miss Piper's. So I don't know. We'll talk about this.
It's not necessarily their job, Rhonda, but I will tell you that the clerk here in Randolph County, she goes through every filing that comes before her, points out errors in it. I just took up my husband's CFA and turned it in, and he had one mark on there. She said, you might want to check that, or you're going to have to do another report. And I recommend that you check it. It's not incorrect to leave it, but I mean, she goes through line by line and checks them, which is an amazing service that they provide here in Randolph County.
And I don't even like her.
Stephanie kicks butt.
Yeah.
Now it's Stephanie that checks them.
Oh yes, I like Stephanie.
Stephanie wonderful.
Yeah,
she does a great job.
Yeah. Stephanie should be the clerk.
I like her.
Yeah.
I do like her. Yeah, and like Ryan, he doesn't have a chairman to sit down with.
Yeah, right.
So.
Right. Ryan's his own chairman. He's the chairman of the board, his own board.
Just start calling him Frank.
Yeah, right. So, Frank. All right. I love it. All right, ladies and gentlemen. So I won't be here tomorrow. Somebody else might be, maybe they won't, but the show will continue at 9 p.m. Eastern for sure on Thursday. Be sure to stay tuned for that. Take care. God bless. Hey, and there's crazy shit. A pedestrian, whatever age they are, a child or an old person in between, whatever, they were minding their own business, just driving home, didn't know anything was going on, and some crazy shit happened and they were killed. So consider that and think about what's important. Hug your family members and your loved ones a little bit closer. Tell them that you love them. Spay and neuter your pets and your siblings and your kids. Take care. God bless. Have a good night. And I will see you on Thursday. Goodbye. The idiot elected officials. Susan Dillon. Susan Dillon in the Batmobile.
Oh no, Kate doesn't do the show. Kate likes hiding. Thank you very much.